light versus heavy guns. I've gotten a ton of questions about it, so I thought I would give you a basic rundown of my thoughts on the issue. So, lightweight gun versus heavyweight gun and everything between. Let's discuss. Okay, so basically, the heavier gun is, the more that's going to soak up the recoil, for one thing. And for another thing, a bigger, heavier gun, it's easy to pull the trigger straight without moving the gun because the gun's heavier, so it doesn't want to move around as much. So in those senses, a heavier gun is much easier to deal with. So this gun is a lightweight gun. This is on the light end of the full-size type pistol spectrum. I think this is 27 ounces. Lightweight guns, the advantages to this, it's easy to draw, reload, point it around, that kind of thing. The gun's much handier and easier to deal with. It's much easier shooting aggressively when you're going between targets or tracking a moving target. Much easier with the lighter gun. So, what do I think you should do? Well, most people, I think, are going to land on not one or the other, not a light gun or a heavy gun, but most people are going to get something that's somewhere in the middle. So, to give you my extreme views, this Shadow 2 with brass grips, and these are the solid brass ones, so they add a ton of weight. Well, not a ton, but like 9 ounces or 12. It's a bunch. Much, much heavier. Okay, if I knew I'm shooting 25 yards or further, and I'm going to have to do it aggressively, I would take this gun, set up this way, every time. Every time, no doubt. Okay, if I'm shooting 7 yards and in, I would be best off with this gun. Okay, it's quick, easy to handle, point it around. When I'm shooting aggressively, the recoil will be rocking me, but it won't really matter because I don't need much precision inside of 7 yards. So this gun would be kind of a more wild feeling ride, but it'd be much faster. Okay? But typically, you don't know what distance you're going to have to shoot at, obviously. So I started my competitive shooting career with this. This gun's 34 ounces. At that time, it was relatively heavy compared to what people were using. Most people were shooting Glocks. So this was heavier. So this cruiserweight gun, I felt the extra weight was helpful from the aluminum frame. Nowadays, I think this is a pretty good weight. It's maybe not the best balance. The Shadow 2 is very front heavy, but these G10 grips don't add much weight. So I don't know what the gun is, like 43 ounces or 44, I don't know. I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. About that weight's going to work well for most people. And honestly, just look at this Glock 34. Well, if I think it's too light, okay, well, you can put a flashlight on, maybe a bigger flashlight, and you could put a metal, this is a brass plug in here. So I could change the guide rod as well if I wanted to add more weight. So I guess what I'm saying is you should get your gun set to be the weight you want. You should understand both ends of the spectrum. Like, what does a really light gun do? What does a really heavy gun do? Most people are going to want something, I think this gun's 54 ounces. This is too much. Most people probably shoot about a 40-ounce gun the best. Maybe a little heavier, but that's probably the best for most people, like a full-size adult people. Obviously, if you're carrying the gun, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to carry something lighter. So if that's what you're, training for, then you want to carry a lighter gun. And you're kind of trading away the additional weight just to make the gun handier and easier to carry around. All right, so light versus heavy guns. There it is. There's my thoughts. I'm curious what yours are. I'm sure you will be putting them in the comments.